true democracy is citizen-led. Politics needs an update. We demand a people's house. We demand a people's house.
So we will invest that money in boosting capacity. We will get the NHS working round the clock, and we will pay staff properly to do it. More operations, more appointments. I was in a cafe in Worthing, Sussex, talking to people, and what one woman said was, she was a single mother, and she said to me, it's survival. I can't think, oh, let's do something nice. There's no long-term planning, no thinking about the future. And I could see the hurt in her eyes as she told me. That's what this cost of living crisis does. Labour would freeze council tax next year, using that windfall tax that hasn't been collected. Yes, you heard it right. Not a penny more on your council tax, not a penny more than the bill you paid last year. And that is a tax cut for the 99% of working people, compared with the tax percent.
It sounded decisive, and it sounded like relief. But while the political class debates council tax freezes in Westminster, a far more brutal economic reality is tearing through the fabric of the capital, largely unnoticed by the podium speakers. If you live in London today, you are likely paying an estimated £216 extra in rent every single month purely due to demand pressures since 2001. That is over £2,500 vanishing from your post-tax income every year. London is emptying out as of December 27, 2025. Not from war, but from an economic force just as displacement-heavy, which is rent. Welcome to the British Lens. Today, we are dissecting the housing catastrophe that is reshaping our demographics, our economy, and our lives. We are moving beyond the soundbites to expose how London has become financially uninhabitable for the very people who make it function, including the nurses, the teachers, and the service workers. We will analyze the collapse of rental supply, the exodus of landlords, and the staggering reality that essential workers now spend half their income just to keep a roof over their heads. We must ask if London is becoming a playground for the wealthy and a trap for the poor. To understand the crisis of December 2025, we must look at the trajectory. For decades, London was the engine of social mobility in the United Kingdom, a place where people moved to build careers. Today, they move out simply to survive. The average UK monthly private rent has increased by 4.4% to £1,366 in the 12 months to November 2025. However, London is an outlier in its severity. Renters in the capital are seeing prices nearly 3% higher than just last year, reaching an average of £2,271 per month. That is over £27,000 per year of post-tax money required just for shelter. Historically, the affordability threshold for housing was considered to be 30% of income. That benchmark has been obliterated. The average private rental sector household now spends over 35% of their income on rent, up significantly from 2021. But averages hide the extremes. In London, tenants report spending 42% of their personal monthly income on housing costs. This is not a market correction, it is a market failure. We are witnessing the cumulative effect of decades of undersupply, combined with a recent perfect storm of interest rate hikes and regulatory changes that have driven landlords out of the sector. The most damning metric of this crisis is the impact on essential workers. Findings reveal that a Londoner earning the national living wage would need to work a staggering 63 hours per week just to keep their housing costs within the recommended 30% of income. Consider the mathematics of survival in the capital today. An average room in a shared flat, not a whole apartment but just a room, now costs nearly £1,000 per month. To afford this comfortably, you need a gross salary of nearly £40,000. The reality is far bleaker. A nursery assistant earning roughly £24,000 spends 49% of their income on rent. An ambulance driver on nearly £30,000 spends 40%. In boroughs like Kensington and Chelsea, rent consumes over 70% of the median London pay. This forces workers into long commutes, eroding their quality of life and disposable income, or forces them out of the profession entirely. We must address why rents are skyrocketing. It is a simple case of supply collapsing while demand remains resilient. From 2021 to 2023, 45,000 rental properties in London were sold, with no new homes replacing them. Rising interest rates, which surged from 0.1% to 5.25%, combined with increased regulations such as the upcoming Renters' Rights Bill and the abolition of Section 21 evictions, have fundamentally altered the economics of being a landlord. In inner London, 22% of homes listed for sale in July 2025 were formerly rental properties. As landlords exit, tenants are forced to compete for fewer properties, driving prices up in a vicious cycle. The market is shrinking fastest in the most affordable areas, punishing those on the lowest incomes the hardest. The result of this financial pressure is mass migration out of the capital. Last year, 40% of renters moving home in London chose to leave the city entirely, up from just 28% a decade ago. This equates to over 90,000 households leaving in a single year, which is double the figure from 2012. While many move to commuter belts like Tandridge, 38% are now heading as far as the Midlands or the North, severing ties with the capital completely. 1 in 4 current London renters says they may need to leave within the next 12 months. We are seeing the hollowing out of London's working-class population. The housing crisis is the primary driver of modern poverty in the capital. The indices of deprivation 2025 reveal a shocking statistic in neighbourhoods like Stamford Hill, where the proportion of children in income-deprived families has jumped from roughly 9% in 2019 to nearly 100% in 2025. When housing costs are factored in, almost every penny of household income is consumed by rent, leaving families technically deprived despite being in work. This has led to homelessness reaching record highs, with more than 183,000 people, or 1 in 50 Londoners, currently living in temporary accommodation. Local councils are trapped in a doom spiral, paying inflated rates to private landlords to house the homeless, further driving up market rents.
True democracy is citizen-led. Politics needs an update. We demand a people's house. We demand a people's house.
London in December 2025 is a city where the average rent exceeds £2,200, where ambulance drivers spend nearly half of their wages on a room, and where nearly 100,000 households flee every year because the math simply does not work. The government's focus on tenant rights, while necessary, acts only as a bandage on a gaping wound. The root cause is a catastrophic shortage of homes. We cannot accept a status quo where a nursery assistant spends half their income on rent. This is not just a housing crisis, it is a social emergency. If you found this analysis valuable, subscribe to The British Lens. Share this video to spread awareness of the reality facing millions of renters. The conversation about our housing future starts with you. Stay vigilant.